Deborah and Paul, if I could just direct this one to you two first, please. The question is, you seem to be saying that the drivers for companies to become more environmentally responsible are all based on what's in it for me. Isn't there also a moral imperative?
I'm sorry, I just missed the first part of that, but it was the question is there also a moral imperative to take action?
As opposed to simply what's in it for me.
Oh yes, absolutely. And certainly that's part of our whole mandate at the foundation is the idea that, we need to take steps to protect the environment because we are entrusted with it for future generations and for all the other species on the planet. So certainly that's part of our mandate. And I wouldn't want anyone to think that that isn't the case. Just simply what we were focusing on today for the presentation was the direct benefits from a business point of view for your operations, but certainly the broader perspective is very important. And that can also be a really strong motivating factor for employees too, if you can tap into their personal values.
Okay, good. Now I'll actually direct this next one.
Sorry, Dan, can I add one to that?
Sure, please do, yeah.
Because I get asked this question all the time, and my answer is usually, if people accept the moral imperative, then they don't need further persuasion. If they don't accept it, then they need persuading on business grounds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So following on from that, Gareth, I'll ask this one to you then. The question is, I keep hearing people talk about greenwashing and going green as a simple marketing ploy. I genuinely want to reduce emissions and do the right thing. Can you advise how to avoid accusations of greenwashing? And Deborah, if you want to pick up on this after Gareth.
Yeah, I think the world is becoming cannier about spotting greenwash. There's this infamous example of Shell saying they grow flowers using their carbon emissions when they only use 0.32% or something of their carbon emissions to grow flowers. And certainly that created a huge media firestorm and impacted on the business. And the Advertising Standards Agency here in the UK is certainly cracking down on adverts by, amongst others, Ryanair, BP and Lexus for making false claims. And the media loves nothing more than a company setting itself up as green and knocking it down. So it's a very risky approach going for greenwash. And to take the Lexus example, Lexus produced a hybrid SUV and presented it as green, but it still had emissions way above the average European car. So the Advertising Standards Agency said, you've got to pull that ad. A year later, Lexus came back with an hybrid SUV that was actually substantially lower emissions than the average UK car of any size. So it was interesting because obviously they did greenwash the first time, but then they used that as a spur to proper innovation and find the right way. So companies that greenwash will be found out.
But Deborah, would you like to pick up on that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Gareth that certainly greenwashing is going to be found out. Even although in the UK you have a fairly strong agency, the Advertising Standards Authority, in investigating these matters, and we don't necessarily have the same degree of government level scrutiny here in Canada. Nonetheless, the media are incredibly skeptical about all kinds of green claims that are made by businesses, as we find, and will sniff out anything that's not quite right. What we suggest really is that you have to really align what's going on within your company with what you're saying about it. So you have to work from the inside out. You have to make sure you're taking the steps first of all, and you have to make sure that everybody in your organization knows exactly what's going on too, because all of those people are potentially spokespeople for your business. So it's really important just to get everybody on the same page. If you're going to communicate about your green initiatives, we really recommend that you be very transparent about what's going on, and also that you're realistic and open about the challenges that you face as well as the successes that you've had.
Okay, great.
Another thing, just one more thing I could add, is that whenever possible, if a claim is being made, if there's a way to have some kind of third party audit of that claim, that also can be a fairly effective way to make the claim more valid.
Okay, thanks. Gareth, I'll just direct this one against you initially. Deborah, you may have something to add. The question is, the light bulb example is very interesting. Are there other examples that you can give of what marketing strategies businesses can use to ensure consumer take-up?
Well, I'm not a marketing expert, I must admit, but I like to see bold green marketing. Marks and Spencer's, for example, ran an advert here in the UK during the summer with a glamorous model in a flinty green dress, and the tagline was for some of our competitors, green went out of fashion as quickly as it came in. And there were no trees, no hands cutting the earth, nothing hair shirt. It was bold and brash. They were basically saying there's a recession on and some of our competitors got cold feet. And it's that sort of bold, clever branding which I think resonates much more than, pictures of trees or, children running their hands through poppy fields or any of those cliches. Another example which I really like is Innocent Drinks. I apologise if it's a UK-centric product as well. But they're a very ethically oriented company. Their symbol is a cartoon face with a cartoon halo above it, and it's done in a sort of jokey, light-hearted way, even though they take the issue very seriously. So it's not hair shirt, it's not sandals, it's funky, cool, and sexy, and that's the direction. Provides rights to the brand of the company, but that's the direction I think businesses should go in promoting their green products and services.
Do you have anything to add to that, Deborah?
Well, an interesting example, also UK-based, interestingly, that we one of the case studies that we have in our book is Tesco, and the way that they've tried to reach out to consumers by putting the climate impact of products right on the product itself. We thought that was pretty interesting because it empowers the customer to start making choices in the marketplace about the products they're consuming.